So picture this, right? I'm at the Charleston waterfront getting some drone shots of the sunrise when all of a sudden my Mavic Pro starts absolutely tweaking on me. After a while, I considered just tossing the thing in the ocean, but that would be bad for the environment, so instead I decided it was time for a new drone. But which one? The Phantom 3 was the largest, most inconvenient drone I've ever used. It was like flying a drunk marshmallow, and the Mavic Pro wasn't far behind. Not super convenient to lug around or fly. But then, the Mavic Air, my favorite drone ever. I've taken it everywhere and never had a serious issue flying it. If we chart the data, the trend is obvious. Bigger drone, more headache to use. So I went with the Mavic Mini, DJI's newest and tiniest drone. But does it suck? Well, I went back to Charleston the next weekend to find out. Alright, made it to the waterfront. Super cloudy and overcast this morning, so I didn't expect much of a sunrise, but we've actually got a pretty good one going on over the water, so I'm excited to get a tiny little Mavic Mini drone up. Alright, let's set this little guy up. Found a good spot. Shout out to the plane that's ruining my audio right now. And we'll set this guy off. Hopefully get some good shots of this crazy sunrise. Look at that. Look how small, look how cute. Quick change of plans. I'm ready, but the drone has decided that it needs to do a firmware update before it takes off. So we're missing this crazy sunrise, at least for a bit. Not the first time I've had a shoot ruined by DJI's firmware updates, so be cautious of that. Alright, firmware is updated, sunrise is gone, but I'm still gonna send it. Impressed by this. I got some shots that I'm really happy with, even got a little Cindy with it at one point and handled it fine. Of course, that's according to my phone screen. My laptop screen tends to tell a different story, so we'll find out later how the footage actually looks. But I guess to sum up the non-footage quality type aspects of this, the actual flying experience of it, you could say, I'm very impressed by control and a little disappointed by the connection. I expected to have very limited control and expected it to go really slowly, at least that's what I've heard online, but I actually didn't struggle with that at all. It moved seemingly about as quickly as every other drone that I've shot with, but the connection was not ideal at all. It was really weak, cut out frequently, and it made it very difficult to push it to any distance at all. At some points I was able to push it pretty far out and get good footage, but a lot of the time if it was behind me or there was like a tree or something blocking the signal, it would cut right out, have terrible quality, and even just disconnect entirely. As far as controlling the camera goes, there's definitely limited control of pretty much all of the settings. You can't change the picture setting at all, you can't adjust the exposure manually, but I was able to lock the exposure by using the exposure compensation feature to adjust it a bit myself, and then just lock it so it wouldn't be changing throughout the shot at least. But I did notice a lot of areas were blown out, completely white, or were completely black in shadow, which is less than ideal for editing. All that about exposure to not even mention that white balance is completely automatic. You have absolutely no control of that. So white balance will be shifting a bit throughout the shot if you're moving between different settings in that location, in that clip. But considering that it is a tiny, plasticky, lightweight $400 drone, I'm thoroughly impressed by how well it did. If you're like a vlogger or something, I think this is perfect to carry around in your bag all the time, or just have on you as an option for shooting a larger film, to be able to get cindier with it and not really have to worry too much about the risk. Still pissed about that firmware update. God, the sunset was so good, and I missed it. All good though. I need caffeine to make me feel better. So this is Broad Street. It's one of the busiest streets in Charleston. God, where is everyone? Perfect. Coffee's been consumed, humanity's been restored, and the sun's actually starting to come out. And now that we've flown the Mavic Mini, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. So the entire point of the Mavic Mini is basically just to loophole and do some legal gymnastics around the restrictions that the FAA places on drones. So the FAA requires that you register a drone with the government, but only as long as it weighs 250 grams or more. So the Mavic Mini, as I'm sure you've heard, weighs 249 grams. So just loopholing right around that regulation. It's dramatically lighter than any other drone on the market, so of course it's very lightweight and even a little bit plasticky to hold. So that's why I was a little curious to see how I would be able to control it when flying it, because it seems like it would be really messed with by the wind and just be tough to control, but I actually didn't find that to be the case at all. You'll also notice that the drone's design is uber simplified compared to any other drone that DJI makes. All the flaps and hinges that aren't quite necessary have been completely removed. The propellers don't detach at all. The reason for that is probably, in addition to saving weight by cutting out those unnecessary components, to make something that appeals to new customers who haven't necessarily flown a drone before, and make something that's accessible to beginners or people who don't have, a professional 4-year degree that you seemingly sometimes need to fly the other drones. You'll notice the controller and the app that you use to control the drone are the exact same way. The controller doesn't have the LCD that all the other DJI controllers do. It's just a straight up controller with a few little dots for the battery percentage. And there's a new app you use to control it as well. You don't use the DJI Go app that you use for just about every other drone or DJI product. You use this new app called DJI Fly that's basically just a very simplified beginner version. With the exception of that firmware update, the drone was extremely intuitive and easy and convenient to set up. It was very quick and very intuitive to go through the motions to get it set up, more so than any other drone I've used. Now, one important feature of note that I think might be a turnoff for a lot of people is that the controller is, I believe, just Wi-Fi, as opposed to an actual radio RC remote, whatever the other ones use. And that's most likely why I was struggling with the connection when flying it earlier, because it's just a Wi-Fi remote. You're going to be losing connection a lot more and just have a weaker signal in general because you don't have that stronger RC connection. So that's probably my least favorite thing about the Mavic Mini so far, but my favorite thing is how cindy you can get with it. Because it's so small and lightweight, you can fly it close to things and just do so with less worry and less stress than you would with another drone, which is maybe not a good thing. Maybe we shouldn't be encouraging that, but I kind of like it. No, but for real though, with another drone like the Mavic Pro, or especially like the Phantom or the Inspire, if you fly it close to something, you're taking a serious risk. If you hit something, you could damage property or even seriously injure someone, which is not what you want to do. Whereas with the tiny little like plasticky Mavic Mini, I mean, you could fly it probably into yourself and it would probably just feel like someone threw a marshmallow at you. Okay, maybe a little worse than that, but of course you should always be super careful when you're flying any kind of drone. You're always taking a risk when you do so, but I think the design of the Mavic Mini being so small and lightweight and plasticky is going to make it both easier and safer to get those cindier camera angles. One nifty thing I'm seeing on the app here is that there's a lot of emphasis on showing you where it's legal and not legal and where there are certain restrictions about flying a drone. So I can see up here, it tells me where I am, College of Charleston. And if I click on that, it will show me a map of all the different places where I can and can't fly it and give me some information about where I am in respect to drone laws. So I can see that where I am is somewhere that I technically can fly the drone, but if we scroll over here, we can see this blue area, and that's the airport where you definitely can't fly a drone. So yeah, it's nice to have these tools that help you make sure you're not breaking the law. Flown it, we've talked about the experience while flying it, the control that you have over the drone while it's in the air. Now let's talk about the quality of the image that you get from it. Here's the thing, the image isn't bad. It's nice and sharp, it looks good, the colors are nice, they're accurate. I like everything about the image, but as expected, it's very limited. Because there's no control of the picture setting and very limited control of the exposure, you're going to be losing a lot of detail and dynamic range throughout the image, which makes it a bit tougher to color grade and gives you less flexibility in general when editing your shot. All of the footage you've seen from the drone so far in this video has been graded, just because I can't help it, I have to grade my clips, but I'll show you some ungraded footage over this part of the video so you can get an idea of what it looks like straight out of the camera. Not bad, just limited. But if you're not working on like a proper film, you're working on, a casual vlog or something like that, it probably doesn't matter that much that the colors are very limited, that you can't grade that much. So, does it suck? Depends. If you want to push it really far away and get an amazing cinematic shot, have that flexibility to go get a huge cinematic camera motion, then yeah, it sucks. Not only because of the limited settings, but mostly because of the range and the connection to the remote control. It's just so bad. Oh my god, it was so bad. Any large distance or physical obstruction like a tree between the drone and the remote and the connection was screwed. It was really, really bad. But when I was flying it in a tight enclosed space or just had a good line of sight from the remote to the drone, it did fine. It performed perfectly as I expected, and it had great connection between the drone and the remote. And that's why I say that even though it does in fact suck for getting really cinematic footage and having total control of what you're shooting, I think it's honestly perfect for two types of people. Very like beginning drone pilots who have never flown a drone before and just want to kind of mess around and have fun. but also people who may be a bit more experienced with drones, but want to get some really cindy shots, fly it really close to something, buzz it right past your friend's head, I don't know. For a really cindy shot, I think this is the easiest and safest drone to use for that kind of filming. And that's why it'll be staying in my camera bag, because for the first time ever, I have a drone that takes up less space in my camera bag than my camera, which is awesome to just have it all the time and be able to whip out the drone and get a really cindy shot in a tight space. But at the same time, I think the Mavic Pro is still gonna be my go-to drone for most of the drone work I do. Just being able to have that full flexibility over my image, shoot and log, be able to push it really far away and have a reliable connection. Those are just features that I think are indispensable except in a very specific situation. So if you're in that situation where you want to get those really cindy shots, you just want a smaller, easier drone that you can mess around with, this is absolutely perfect for you. Anyone else, I'm sorry to say, it kind of sucks. All that being said, I hope this video has helped to entertain or inform you, and if it did, do feel free to show your support, leaving a like on the video, sharing it with your friends, or even subscribing to my channel. I upload new filmmaking tutorials every 1 to 2 weeks. So keep creating, subscribe for the next one, and I'll see you then.